What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Well, if you've been following my videos for any amount of time, then you know that I preach from the rooftops the value of finding your niche in private practice. Not only does it help market your practice, but it also allows you to have a practice that you love because you're seeing your favorite types of clients to work with. But as helpful as it is to have a niche in your private practice, what if you legitimately just have no niche, at least not yet? Does that mean that you can't start a private practice? You can absolutely have a successful private practice without a niche, but it might entail using a little bit of a different strategy than I normally talk about. So in today's video, I'm gonna offer one quick tip that you can utilize if you're not sure what your niche is in private practice to be able to fill your practice and in time eventually have a niche that fits for you so that you can enjoy working with your favorite types of people to work with. Welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang, psychologist in private practice. I post videos offering tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so that you don't have to. Now, especially if you're not in network on any insurance panels, it can be difficult to fill your practice when you don't have a niche. And the reason for this is because so much of marketing or, finding folks who want to meet with you is advocating for ways that you can help solve someone's specific problems. And if you don't know what kind of person you tend to work with, it can be hard to know how to talk about the ways you can solve someone's problems, if that makes sense. If that was a mouthful, it doesn't matter. Either way, there are ways to fill your practice without having a niche, and I'm going to share a quick tip for how you can go about doing that. I do genuinely believe that everyone has their own unique niche, whether you're aware of it or not, and whether you advertise it or not. It may just take a moment for you to develop a sense of what that unique lens is that you see the world from and the unique types of people that you really like to work with. But you can absolutely still see clients while you're developing a sense of what your niche is, or even if you decide to never lean into a niche as a therapist. How do you do that? I present to you the power of networking. Okay, hear me out on this one. I'm not proposing that you attend stuffy meetings where everyone introduces themselves, passes out business cards, and then parts ways never to speak to each other again. Not at all. In fact, I'm really not a fan of that type of meeting. I'm talking about making legitimate friends in the therapy field. People who you jive with, people who you really click with, developing real friendships with people that you actually genuinely like and get along with, who also happen to be therapists. A little later in this video, I'll share more about how you can find your tribe and build those relationships. But first, let me say a little bit about why I think this strategy of networking with like-minded therapists can fill your practice when you don't have a niche. First, when you build genuine relationships with fellow therapists and develop a sense of trust with them, they will refer clients to you. Period. I'm telling you, for my favorite, most trusted therapist colleagues, I'm referring clients to them all the time. And I'm not necessarily checking in fully like, oh, does this person specialize in this or not? It's like, no, I really trust this therapist. I'm going to see if they have any availability for this person who needs a referral. Second, along these same lines, when a therapist really knows you really well, they will tend to refer clients to you who just happen to be a good fit to work with you. Even if they can't articulate that they did that intentionally, and even if you can't articulate yet what your niche is. Because we're therapists, we have that gut intuition, and your good therapist friend who really knows you is likely to send referrals to you that are naturally a good fit to work with you. Third, by connecting with therapists who you really jive with, you'll start to notice some patterns and similarities between you and your fellow therapists whom you really love engaging with, and start to notice aspects of your niche kind of residing within those relationships. Now, it doesn't mean that those therapist friends are potentially your ideal clients, and it doesn't necessarily mean that your niche is going to be a replica of theirs, but there might be these kind of threads beneath your relationships that tie all of your interests together, and your niche might be kind of hiding within those relationships. And as this process unfolds, your therapist friends start sending referrals your way. You'll have clients now that you work with that you can start to collect data from about your niche. Meaning, as you fill your practice with an array of different clients as a generalist, you can start to ask yourself which of these clients you really enjoy working with, which of these clients maybe aren't necessarily your favorite clients to work with, and then ask yourself why. What is it about these 3 clients that I really love working with them? What is it about this client that I'm just like not super feeling it? And gather that information, take note of it. Now, one route you can go from here to start to develop a niche if you want to is you can use my niching method, which I share in one of my very first videos on this channel. So if you're curious to kind of develop your niche after you're seeing clients in a fuller practice, you can check out that video that I've linked to below. So hopefully you can see how it's possible to in time start to develop a niche just using this tip of networking with fellow therapists kind of in your tribe who kind of speak the same language as you metaphorically. But even if you don't develop your niche, you can fill your practice this way and see clients that you really enjoy working with. Now, earlier I'd mentioned I'd give some tips for how you might be able to start to find some therapists in your tribe if that's something that feels challenging. So here are a few tips you can leverage to start to develop a sense of your tribe of trusted friendship therapist colleagues. First, start with your existing networks. So whether it's going back to grad school colleagues or former co-workers or just people who are in your existing network of therapists, ask yourself who in those networks are people that I really admire, people that I look up to, people that I find inspiring, or just people that I would love to hang out with. What have you got to lose? If there's anyone that you admire in your existing circles from now or in the past, reach out to them and see if they want to strike up a friendship. The worst case scenario is that they're not available and you can carry on to the rest of the tips on this list. The next tip is to go ahead and try out Facebook groups. There are so many therapists on Facebook. There are so many groups of therapists on Facebook. And one strategy is to reach out to therapists in your local area to see if there's an existing kind of private Facebook group of therapists. Or if there is an interest of yours, I know this goes against the concept of this video of finding a niche, but if you have some interest, seeing if there's a Facebook group of therapists around that interest as well. And you can either have the proactive approach in those Facebook groups of like posting and kind of being like, hey, I'm looking for friends. Or you can have the kind of more like the lurker approach where you don't necessarily actively post, but you observe other folks in the group or kind of look through the existing discussion in the group and see if there's anyone who stands out to you that you feel drawn towards. And go ahead and reach out and strike up a connection with anyone who stands out to you as kind of like, oh yeah, we're kind of like cut from the same cloth. Like I really admire this person or the way that they're talking about the world or their clients. I just feel really excited by that or drawn to that. If you express that to them, they will likely be excited to talk to you as well. So that's another avenue you can take to make a genuine connection with a therapist. And on the same vein, work those Instagram DMs. Now, I'm not just talking about like liking someone's post you think is cool or commenting, though you can do that too, but genuinely reaching out to somebody, sending them a direct message if you feel a sense of connection with them and seeing if they're willing to strike up a friendship outside of just liking and commenting on each other's stuff. Genuinely, when I first started Private Practice Skills and I had maybe just a couple of hundred followers on Instagram and I was really small, I reached out to some folks and I also had other folks reach out to me, and some of those therapists are some of my closest friends today. Tip number 4, join local therapist groups. So my county has a group for local psychologists, local MFTs, so you can find a group of fellow therapists that you can connect with and see if either there's mixer events that are just kind of more casual hangouts, or just attend genuinely the events that appeal to you, the topics that are interesting, and you can meet other therapists there who have similar interests. And when you attend, just be intentional about looking for folks that you have a genuine connection with without kind of trying to forge a friendship with people you don't actually feel a connection with. So just, use your little spidey sense as a therapist and see who you connect well with. And if there is anyone that you connect well with in these events, invite them to hang out or for a coffee or a Zoom call. outside of that event and be intentional about leaning into those relationships. Now, these are just a few tips, a few avenues you can use to find therapists that you jive well with, and this overall strategy of using networking with fellow therapists to fill your practice when you don't have a niche is just one way that you can go about filling your practice without a niche. But if you're feeling stuck and feeling like, I don't know how to fill my practice and I really don't know what my niche is, here is an avenue that you can leverage to see if it's a good fit for you to fill your practice with folks you enjoy working with, even if you don't have a named niche. And before we close, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring this video. TherapyNotes helps with scheduling, notes, and billing. They have a HIPAA-secure telehealth platform built in for free for all TherapyNotes members, so they make managing your practice really simple. If you're interested in checking out TherapyNotes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you're a generalist in private practice, leave a comment with any additional tips you would add for how you've gone about filling your practice and having a practice that you've enjoyed and that's felt sustainable so that other folks can glean from your experience. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.